Hello and welcome to Wavelength's webinar on maximizing development goals during COVID-19 with data. In this webinar, we'll be covering the importance of data and how you can leverage it to reach your goals, how to meaningfully engage with your constituents, and how to create processes to maintain your data moving forward. For this online series, we have split up this webinar into three sections. Section 1 is all about data types and how you can identify your data needs by project and goals. Section 2 is all around your data health and finding ways to improve it. And Section 3 is about improving processes and your constituent touchpoints with data. You can watch these web series independently or all together. In this first section, we will be talking about data types. But first, let's dive into why data is important. Using your data, you are able to influence your future strategy by identifying trends and opportunity areas for change from previous projects, and it helps you target future goals with a clear approach. You're also able to personalize your communications more with more established, meaningful connections with your constituents. And using data as a whole should build your impact and support your school while also reducing duplicative effort and increasing your efficiency as a team overall. COVID-19 has drastically changed the education field as we know it right now. We can already see fundraising is impacted at this time. The data you see here is a comparison of Q1 2020 fundraising revenue versus Q1 of 2019. It is beyond the education industry and is overall any fundraising organization, but you can see that small and medium-sized organizations are already seeing an impact just in Q1, and we're already in Q2 seeing additional changes. What you see in this graph focuses on the 2019 distribution of giving across various months. From March to June of 2019 for K-12 and higher ed education, schools saw a difference of either 30 to 42% of their overall giving collected during this time. Schools in 2020 are either reaching their goals in a similar fashion, or they might be a little bit behind target. So let's really discuss how you can use your data to help you reach your target goals. First, you want to review your goals for the rest of the year. What are they, and how are you using data to reach those goals? In this case, it's all about your input. What are you using to help reach out to your constituents? That's contact points. What do you know about your constituents? So all of the input, this is just a sample listing of all of the data points you could have on an individual. You want to identify what you're using to reach your goals. And then you want to identify your outputs. What data are you tracking and how are you measuring success? That could be anywhere from engagement data to updated constituent stats to revenue and fundraising. One sample goal is maybe you want more alumni engaged with your school. So your inputs are going to be their contact information, past engagement, and maybe their persona or segmented groups. The output would be then their attendance, their email open rate, maybe their volunteering behavior and donations. Another example is you want to reach an annual fund goal of X amount. That means you need constituent contact information, their past donation history, and perhaps major donor or previous major donors, as well as the output focusing on the dollars raised, participation, and matching gifts. As you saw in those goals, data is part of the entire process. So data influences your strategy and project direction as you're thinking about next year's fundraising goals. You're likely looking at this past year and previous years on what you've been able to reach in the past and what you want to target in the future. And then it helps deliver on how you are approaching your constituent base today. It's giving you the contact information you need to do the outreach and that personalization data moving forward. The project outputs then are recircled back into the data pool to help build additional strategy and lead more up-to-date constituent profiles so that you can really have this full circle of data impacting all parts of the process and your goals. Data can be categorized in three different sections. One is contact information, that's how are you reaching your constituent. The other is personalization. How are you increasing that connection with the constituent directly? And the last is segmentation. How are you grouping your constituents into various criteria so that you can reach them in personalized way, but also en masse? Let's talk about contact information and the value of a data point. In this hypothetical situation, you are sending an email fundraising campaign to 10 people, and two of them donate $25 each. That means that the value of your email is $5 per email. That's because 10 emails were sent, $50 were raised in total, and $50 over 10 emails is equal to $5 an email. This is important to keep in mind because contact information by channel is different in terms of the value of a data point. So you should approach doing this math across all of your contact point channels. It is a lot easier to measure the value of a contact point information than other types of data, but it's important to consider as you look at the preferences of your constituent base. Again, this data is global and agnostic to organization type. However, as you can see with this layout, that there are various preferences depending on generations, gender, and more. So perhaps when it comes to a value of a data point, an email might be more valuable for a baby boomer than a social media handle. Meanwhile, social media handles for millennials and Gen Xers might be more valuable to you. Contact information is also changing as we think about everything being remote. So the trends of 2019 and online giving might change over time. However, I just wanted to capture it here on what are the overall trends of online giving in various channels. Another categorization of data is personalization. So, how are you increasing your connection with your constituents? Personalization is seen to be incredibly powerful when trying to connect with your constituent base. Marketers are reporting 760% increase in email revenue when it's been personalized. They're seeing a 202% action conversion when there is a more personalized call to action. Same with subject lines. So, the more personalized you are able to make your communication with constituents, the more engaged they'll likely be. This is incredibly important as you think about younger alumni and younger donors. As you have graduating classes and seniors, you want to bring them into your constituent base in an engaged way, but you might have to really tailor your communication with them to make it feel personalized and connect the dots and share stories that are relevant to the user. Make them understand that their relationship with the school went way beyond just education, but the community of peers that they and friends they established, that they are part of a community way beyond just their graduating class and they're always welcome back. Because this is lifelong relationships you're trying to build and lifelong engagement. The last segment is all about segmentation. So this is how can you group people into various criteria subsets and communicate accordingly with them. In 2019, universities saw a record giving numbers. However, the number of individual donors went down. So that meant fewer donors gave larger amounts. In these visuals, you are seeing some wavelength network insights. This is just showing the distribution of various constituents and what industry they work in and what position level they are. By clicking into these segments, you're able to identify where people are working and maybe what position level they are in. This is powerful because it means by industry, you know that salary levels differ. You know that giving amounts and giving capabilities also differ. So having more knowledge about various segments and where people are in their career is important from an asking perspective, but also beyond that in terms of being able to ask alumni to support various initiatives between internships to career days to supporting various projects and faculty needs. You can also segment by constituent type. It's understanding that various constituent types have different giving capabilities, participation rates. This is a quick review on what NAIS sees with their overall member data across all of their schools, what the type of median gift size is, and the participation rate. From a constituent type, we do have another webinar we have reviewed about personas, how to develop a persona, how to make sure you capture all of the right criteria to understand what this user is like and what their needs are so you can better communicate with them. It can be found on our resource hub, which is linked to the slides. You can also find people or segment people rather through location. This is our our map-based search functionality where you can find people by their location. And we actually have schools use this to be able to create community groups during COVID. So they have paired young alumni with older generational alumni in various geographies across the US and abroad to support users who might not feel comfortable running errands out and about right now and have young alumni volunteer their time to support in running these errands or whatever other asks they might have. What you also need to understand is while we have those three categories of data, that there are some influencers that will really strengthen the data and strengthen the actions if used correctly. So we know that behavior shift with giving days when classmates request or solicit donations. Online donations and ease of access is also really important. If it's too difficult to find a way to donate online, even though the intent is there to give, the drop-off rates can be pretty high if it's too hard to navigate your site. Lastly, donor matching initiatives do change people's behaviors. So, 1 in 3 donors indicate that they actually will give a larger gift if matching is applied, and 18 million individuals work for companies with matching gift programs. 84% of donors also say that they're more likely to give if a match is offered. So when you think about all of your data, also think about these other influencers that could potentially empower and really strengthen your data and your processes to make it that much more impactful. That is the end of section one. Section two will be covering determining what you know and really discussing how you can maintain your data health. Thank you.